several abstracts were presented at EAN on Ozanimod, and we had some safety updates on Ozanimod in terms of the overall safety profile of the product, and looking at the occurrence of various adverse events over the course of the study. The study we were looking at is DAYBREAK, which is the large open label study of Ozanimod. It had patients who had participated in the pivotal clinical trials, RADIANCE and SUNBEAM, as well as a phase 2 study, come into this large open label study. And the goal of the open label study is twofold. One, of course, we wanted to further characterize the long-term adverse event rates that were occurring and look for any new signals that might emerge from long-term exposure to Ozanimod. And the good news is that the safety profile of Ozanimod during this long-term extension study looked very similar to what had previously been reported. There were no new safety signals. And then we also were curious to see whether the adverse event rates were either going to go down, go up, or stay exactly the same. And interestingly, adverse events actually decreased over time. So treatment-emergent adverse events, one might anticipate as being a constant or across the course of study if it were a truly stochastic event. But most of these treatment-emergent adverse events tended to cluster early and then gradually dissipated over the course of the study. There was no particular malignancy signal that was seen, and certain adverse events of special interest, such as macular edema, although they did occurred at a very, very low frequency. So overall, that was very encouraging. We did see first initially a decrease of infections, and then with the COVID pandemic occurring during the same period of time as the observation in DAYBREAK, we did see a rise in infections, most of which were associated with the COVID pandemic. So overall, this was very encouraging. We also wanted to look at hepatic function abnormalities during the course of study and to see if there were going to, in fact, be a number of discontinuations due to hepatic problems. There were a couple discontinuations due to hepatic-related diseases that we think were unrelated to Ozanimod. There was a case of acute hepatitis, for example, that probably had nothing to do with Ozanimod whatsoever. There were a number of treatment discontinuations due to liver function abnormalities, but very importantly, despite many years of treatment, we did not see a single case of drug-induced liver injury. So a few individuals in the course of the study, I think a total of 9 patients, discontinued treatment due to rise in hepatic functions, but none of those rose to the point of significant liver injury. So that was an important piece of information. I would also say that for the most part, when it comes to monitoring patients over the course of treatment with Ozanimod, one really doesn't have to do frequent liver function monitoring. I think doing this at baseline makes good sense to me, and then possibly periodically thereafter on an annual or semi-annual basis, just to be sure. But generally speaking, one does not have to compulsively measure liver function abnormalities in Ozanimod-treated patients. When liver function abnormalities were detected, they were often transient and did not require any interruption in treatment with Ozanimod. And I think that's an important feature of this particular product. It helps distinguish it from some of the other S1P receptor modulators and is consistent with the overall impression of this product being very safe and very well tolerated. And I would say that echoes my personal experience in clinical practice.